Welcome to Nita's Excerpts from the Experts, 7-minute learning sessions with researchers and practitioners in the field of eating disorders, and individuals who share their experiences and perspectives. I'm your host, Sarah Bowie-Keaton. This week, our guest is Dr. Karen Samuels. She is a clinical psychologist, certified eating disorder specialist, and yoga instructor. She is co-founder and director of COPE, Community Outreach to Prevent Eating Disorders, and serves as consultant with Family Residency Program at Halifax Medical Center. Today, Dr. Samuels will be speaking about eating disorders in midlife and beyond. Dr. Samuels, welcome to our program. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you. I'm so grateful to be here and to be able to bring this topic to the table for discussion.
To get started, can you tell me about the background or foundational aspects of what eating disorders look like for people in midlife and beyond?
Absolutely. So let me just start by saying I've worked in the field of eating disorders for over 30 years. And in my experience over so many years, I found more and more that older adults were seeking out care and were not sure that there would be anyone that would understand. So we call these the invisible years or the invisible eating disorders because people don't think of eating disorders. We have that stereotype of it being someone young in their adolescence or early adulthood, not midlife and beyond. So for starters, 73% of midlife individuals, men and women, experience weight dissatisfaction and significant levels of distress about their bodies and related depression about the state of their relationship with feeding themselves and how they feel about their bodies. Almost 3/4 of midlife adults and older are at war with their bodies. And what we are also recognizing, and there's varying data and debate on this, that lifetime prevalence of recognized diagnosed eating disorders, disordered eating, and body despair is 15.3% lifetime occurrence. The rate of breast cancer currently is 13% lifetime prevalence. The transitions from midlife and later life seem to bring some particular windows of vulnerability for eating disorders in the middle years and later years. And historically, I think we believed as you got older, it was okay to kind of soften and mellow and be more accepting. Unfortunately, in the world we live in today, age does not immunize anyone from body image, preoccupation, and eating disorders.
I would imagine there's maybe more shame later in life than there is younger, because it almost seems like a normal thing for young people to struggle with this, but not for older people.
And we're all aware, hopefully, that since the pandemic, the rates of anxiety and depression and eating disorders have spiked with adolescents and young adults. Well, I'm just here to say they have also spiked with midlife and older adults. The isolation and sense that one should be taking optimal care of themselves as they age has been really at the center of the struggle, I think, for people as they get older and are feeling like that. For some, we call it the deadline decade. There's that pressure as they get to the middle years of, oh my gosh, I was supposed to have accomplished this with my work or my career or my family or my community or my spiritual community, and that pressure to achieve. And what we know is that the onset or recurrence or continuation of eating disorders and disordered eating are the result of seeking ways of coping with distress. We have very clear research that shows us that as we age, we know as we get older, we tend to gain weight. Our body percentage increases as we age, and that we tend to carry more weight around the midsection, and that we need to not pathologize. This is just the normal design, elegant design of how our bodies are built. But people tend to be at war with their bodies, as I said, and see that midsection extra weight as their spare tire that they think they have to get rid of. And what we actually recognize is that extra body fat around the midsection replaces hormones that are lost with menopause and midlife. It protects our vital organ function. It actually protects our bones and helps prevent bone density loss. So if we can transform that thinking from don't think of it as your spare tire, think of it as your life preserver, it can be incredibly liberating to see and not pathologize the changes that are part of our natural developmental passages into the middle years and later years. It is normal, and it is not something wrong with our bodies or something that we have to fight against. It's something that we can work with.
So it sounds like there's kind of three categories of midlife and beyond. You have the individuals who it's been chronic and always kind of been something that they've struggled with. Then it's also the second category of individuals who had it when they were younger, they were in recovery, and then something reactivated it. And you talked about what some of those triggers could be. And then there's that smaller portion where it's a new development for them later in life.
I like to point out we're beginning to investigate further and understand more fully that the entrance and the exit of our reproductive years share a lot of commonality. The hormonal changes, the physical changes, social relationship changes, development of sexual identity, learning what about oneself and one's identity. So in puberty, we see that, and often those struggles and pressures, along with lots of other comorbidities like depression, anxiety, substance use disorders, ADD, ADHD, etc., are contributing, like create that perfect storm. And we see the same thing at midlife and menopause and postmenopause, that if you think about it, it's very similar. The physical changes, the hormonal, the identity changes, the loss of social currency. So on the one hand, age doesn't immunize us from the pressures, but we also are getting really good research that says learning to live more comfortably and managing your health conditions without radical changes to or significant changes to one's intake is the best thing you can do for longevity and health lifelong.
I liked what you said earlier on. You said that for the weight gain in the midsection, it's the elegant design of the midsection is your life preserver. And if you can reframe that for yourself, what a gift to know, to actually appreciate your body and it's protecting you.
And when I tell that to folks, there's like this huge exhale. Like, okay, will you tell my doctor that? Will you tell my partner that? Wait, I have to hear that a couple of times. Our bodies are elegantly designed for survival. And that is our life preserver. It's not something to pathologize, to medicalize. It's our life preserver. So making peace with how we care for ourselves and how we live in our skin and in our bodies is also, I think, the hopeful part.
You'd have to really be an advocate for yourself, because you'd think that doctors screen for these things at all ages, but I would imagine that later in life that this is not typically in their training and radar to normally screen their patients who are midlife and older for an eating disorder.
They don't even think of it. They don't, but we're teaching them. I always say if we don't go teach them, and that is something else I do, is we teach physicians to ask the questions. You know, there are simple screening tools, but we have to teach them. And then also for patients to advocate for yourself and say, yes, this is something I'm struggling with. And then the last thing on that I want to really underscore is, yes, that's right. Find a therapist, find a physician, find a dietitian who will help you in your recovery. And many times when people are actually seeking a higher level of care, the adult tracks are over 30. And when we're talking about someone who's over 50 or 60, they will resume that very familiar role of being caretaker and not tend to their own care needs, and just take care of the younger ones in the treatment center or in the treatment groups. So really since the pandemic, the encouraging thing is there are more groups dedicated to adults at midlife and older, and that are available online, that are support groups, that are treatment groups. And, we're trying to keep up with and recognize that those needs can be taken care of and attended to, and that group support is really essential to helping people break the isolation so they can recover and feel hopeful. Recovery can happen at any age. Recovery can happen at any age.
Well, thank you for ending on that positive note and encouragement for people who are challenged with an eating disorder later in life. I really appreciate your time today, and I hope that this is helpful for those individuals that watch this.
Thank you. It's been just a joy to be here and to speak with you, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity.
Thank you. NEDA's mission is to support individuals and families affected by eating disorders and serve as a catalyst for prevention, cures, and access to quality care. NEDA offers programs and services designed to help you find the help and support you need. Whether you have been personally affected by an eating disorder or care about someone who has, recovery is possible, and we're here to support you.